So I just got done watching Daniel Says live right now and wanted to jump on for a few minutes. Um, I meant to get back on and do a live, but last few days I really haven't been feeling that good. Um, so never made it back on. But now I'm on here for a few, see what's going on, see if there's anything that anybody wants to talk about. Um, I like the videos that Daniel Says does. He speaks a lot of truth in them, and when you're speaking the truth, people can't argue that, or at least not legitly argue that. They'll try to smut you up, but they still can't fight the truth that's behind it. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these channels is they're too busy trying to fight what's wrong to make them look better. But that's because they know what they're doing. It goes against their morals and stuff like that. Now, people keep saying, "Oh, I'm just here. I want to hear about more slander, more gunner slander." It's not slander. Slander would be me talking shit outside of my neck like they do. That's what slander is. Slander is when you're lying on somebody and speaking on them and you got nothing to back it. There's a difference there. So Daniel, he's saying that he wants to do a little live or something, get me on there. So whenever he's free and able to do it, I'm up for it. Preferably morning time when I'm not really feeling sick or whatever. But it's something we can do. Cali's Finest 23. What's good? What's good with you? Feeling all right this morning. Been doing this little treatment, trying to see if maybe it was making me feel sick because it says to take it on with food. So I'm trying it today without food, just some coffee, and seeing if that makes a difference. But yeah, I didn't know Daniel was a counselor, which is a good thing. Because the thing with being counselors is you're using your life experiences to help somebody else. Whereas most counselors nowadays, whether it's for like drug counseling and stuff like that, those are all people that have gone through the experiences themselves and have turned their life around and now are using that to help other people. Cali's Finest. Okay. Salute from Orange County. Have a good day. Oh yeah, you too, Cali Finest. Yeah, I just wanted to jump on for a few minutes, see how everybody's doing. Sitting out back. Got the dogs out. Grinch. Come here. Got them out. We got the puppies in the house right now. We got the Frenchies out back. Yeah, the other day I was doing that live and my comments froze up on me and I couldn't really get to them. But there was other people in there commenting back, so let's see if these comments are going. I got 2 comments in from Cali's Finest 23. But that's the only comments showing so far. So yeah, I was online trying to see what else some of these other dudes have had to say since we've been on here, and noticed that they haven't really put out no videos in the last few days. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. Maybe they realize that they're being preached a bunch of lies. Maybe they realize that what they had to say was spoke out the sides of their neck before they should have spoke, and realize there's going to be some backlash coming from it. But people got to realize is when you're speaking the truth, you don't need people co-signing for you. You don't need people getting on there trying to tell everybody that what you're saying is truth and shit like that. Like, people could see that shit for themselves. People could see that the difference between real life and fake stories. People could see like how people are speaking on prison and haven't been in there in how long. So how do you know what's going on in prison? People that know these people and know that the stories that they're telling aren't true, and it's like what I said before. These people are good at making up stories. That's all they are, stories. So if that's what people want to hear for entertainment, shit, that's good entertainment if that's what you like. But can any white run wood? Yeah, Tony James. When you go into the prison system, you're classified, and in the classification, they pretty much ask you what you are. They ask you if you're white, if you run white, if you run black, if you run northerner, southerner, or paisa, if you run other or uso and stuff like that. So if you're white and you're coming into the prison system, unless you were basically already a skin, then yeah, you're then run wood. And there's nothing wrong with running wood. It's different. It's different running wood. The way the woods run is every single county has their own car in prison. So you could be a wood from say Bakersfield, and you then have a Bakersfield car. You could have a car from Merced, and you then run Merced. You're all still white. You all still run the same car, but each car has their own shot caller within that car, within the wood car. So you get onto a yard and there's a bunch of different woods from different counties, and you got a shot caller for each county, basically speaking up for the woods from their car. Whereas the skins, it isn't like that. Everybody's running together under one thing. And so it makes it harder, I think, for the woods, because they're not always on the same page. They're not always they'll have more little internal conflicts because you might not agree with one from another car, and if that's what their main dude is going off of, then you tend to end up having little internal conflicts that way. Jay Franks, what's good, homeboy? I just wanted to send mine to you and Juanita and the kids. Hope everything is going well, bro. Sending mine full blast from Orange County. Yeah, we're doing good. Like I said, we do the family thing all the time. We're here at the house. We had a birthday party to go to the other day for one of the nephews, and went over there. I stayed for a little while, but my treatment started to kick in a little bit stronger, and I ended up having to go home. But Tony James and mind their own business. Yeah. A lot of the whites tend to mind their own business because a lot of them are there just to do their time and go home. Now, it's easy to get caught up in the politics and the bullshit in state. And if that's what you're looking for, then that's what's saying happen. You're going to get caught up in the bullshit. You then end up volunteering for shit and catching more time or maxing out your time. And you then end up, you then end up getting people also that are then try to utilize you for that because they see that you're raising your hand constantly. But if that's what something that you want to do, then there's always people needing to step up because there's a lot of people in there that don't want to do stuff also. Tony James, I meant to say if a white goes in, can he be solo? If a white goes in, can he be solo? You could be solo to a point. You could go in trying to do solo, but something you got to understand is everybody's called upon at some point to put in work, because it's not always going to be the same handful of people that's always doing it unless you're volunteering. And a lot of times, if you volunteer, you're picking which people are then go with you. So that's why I liked volunteering when I would go in, because I already had my two people that I trusted and that I knew was that were then rock with me, and I didn't have to worry about it. I knew they had my back 100%. So there'd be some things like when it came to people with child abuse cases and shit like that, I volunteered for them. And I had two people with me that felt the same way. So everybody knew if I volunteered that who was going with me. Now, on the other hand, if you don't volunteer, eventually you then get called upon to do something. Because like I said, it goes in a circle. You might not be the first on the circle. You might be down the list, but eventually you then come to on that list. Now, what I notice a lot of times is people will show up to a yard and they'll volunteer because they know that they're being put on that list, and they rather get it over with, because you figure if there's 40 whites on a yard and you're at the bottom of that list and you're doing a 2-year term, how many incidents are then happen before it's your turn? Now you might end up being close to the house, and all of a sudden now it's your turn and you can't say no. What do you then do? You lock it up off the yard because it's your turn to do something? You knew it was your turn to do something from the beginning. You knew what time it was when you got to that yard. You knew what time it was when your name was put on that list. Tony James said, what if you can't physically do it? Like you can't fight? If you can't physically do it, I don't know, honestly, because I had a homeboy that had showed up. He was in a wheelchair. He was paralyzed from the waist down. He couldn't get out of the wheelchair. He honestly couldn't fight, but when it was his time and his time came up, they put two dudes with him that they knew that they were there to make sure that nothing happened to that dude, because it was his time and he was proud to go. Now, he was the first one to initiate it. He was in his wheelchair. He grabbed the dude. He was actually the one that used the piece, and he did what he had to do real quick. And then the other dudes got on the dude. So I don't know. A lot of times, if you can't physically do it, and administration will house you to where you're not a liability to somebody, because the last thing any of these groups want is to have somebody that's a liability. Senor Elver Larga, his paperwork from his doctor visit for meth use and psychosis was posted a while back. Yeah, I seen that. Thing with that is people post paperwork, and then there's other people on there that are trying to comment and saying that the paperwork's fake and stuff like this. So it's just one more smoke screen that people throw up to hide the truth, to try to manipulate people on their beliefs and believing that that everything out there against them is lies. But how is everything lies? Like, how many people you got pissed off at you for the same thing, for all this stuff to be coming out on you? Diamond Street Locos. Will Woods remove someone for willfully child cruelty? Oh yeah. The Woods policy is they're not going to allow somebody that abuses children or women on a yard with them. Now, if you're in for some faulty shit like that, then you'll get removed. The first thing that they do is they then request all your transcripts from court. They then request all your paperwork and have you forward it all to whoever's running that building that you're in or that yard, and they then review all of it. They then see what the facts are in it, and see if the court's made a mistake in finding you guilty. And if they didn't find a mistake, then you're gone. Jay Franks, out of all the places you touched down at, bro, what would you say personally was the worst? If you can touch on that. Okay, so I've been through DVI Tracy as reception. I've been through Wasco as reception. I've been through San Quentin as a reception before. I've been to Jamestown. I've been to Ironwood, Soledad, Salinas Valley. I've been to High Desert, Kern Valley, Old Corcoran and New Corcoran, and Corcoran Shoe. And worst place, really the worst place is what you make of it. Aren't really none of them good. None of them's like a place that you want to just be, unless you're so caught up in the prison politics that that's what you want to do. And if that's what you want to do, then you then end up making a life of it in there. And a lot of people that do that, they don't ever reach the streets again. Junior R, have you caught Prison Pop? No, I haven't. I meant to check that out. I just haven't got around to it yet. Tony James, what if you had your kids removed for CPS, parents' rights, terminated everything, but wasn't charged with? Will they find out? No, they're going off the actual court paperwork, court documents, because it's so easy for people to try to alter paperwork or shit like that. That unless it's what's really in the case, that's what they're going off there. It's not like out on the streets where the courts can use all this stuff from CPS reports and shit like that. Aquatic Amigo, do you agree that Frenchies and bullies have lots of health issues nowadays? Yeah, a lot of them have issues, more so because people want to lock in certain traits with the bullies now. So people would do line breeding and stuff like that to lock in certain traits. And when they do that, it causes like genetic issues with the dogs too. So when people start breeding out and getting these pocket bullies and micro bullies and stuff like that, you're breeding in like genetic mutations into these breeds to keep them that size. Because bullies were all one size before. There weren't these standard looking bullies with 2-inch legs or 3-inch legs. How far back can paperwork go? Shit, paperwork's a public record, so paperwork can go back as far as somebody can pull it. Jay Franks, I had asked prior, but I think, like you said, your comments froze. I believe you did time with my brother in Soledad. He's doing all day. I'll message you privately to see if you knew him. Yeah, message me privately. I could have. I believe when I was in Soledad in 2004 or 2005. Tony James. So what if you were to get to prison and tell everyone you're running solo? You don't want no problems, don't want to follow no group rules, but stay respectful. Can you talk to other race that are doing the same? If you go to prison and you tell them that you're running solo and that you don't want no problems and you don't want to follow the rules, you're gone. They're not saying leave somebody that's going against the grain on the yard with them, because now, besides you not wanting to follow rules, now you're becoming a liability to them. They don't know what inside secrets you may leak out to the other races. So I don't see that working out too well for you if that's what you're then do. Are Americans/Persians allowed to run as whites in prison? Yeah, I don't see why not, senor. Um, I've seen dudes that were Hispanic and white run as white because they didn't gangbang on the streets, and they grew up in a family and grew up as white. So that's who they related to when they went to prison. Jesus is Lord. Do you do custom boat work? Yeah, it depends on what type of boat work you're looking for. Um, if if you mean like custom interior and stuff like that, yeah, I've done some custom interior. I do a lot of inboard work on inboard motors. I I don't really do the outboards because I never got into how those are motors are set up and stuff. But if it's an inboard with an outboard outdrive, then yeah, I do it. Interior, yeah, I could do interior too. Um, I had a Cobalt that I picked up, and it had super low hours. It had like 242 hours or something on it, and the interior was shot. So I did it, redid it. Junior R, been on a yard with a white Crip. Okay, the thing with that is skinheads don't allow white Bloods and white Crips on yards. They're not allowed to, which is something that I've never completely understood, coming from the point that you'll have white Northerners and white Serranos on yards, and that's allowed. So I never understood, how are you then allow white Northerners or white Serranos on the yard, but you're not allowing a white Crip or a white Blood on the yard? It didn't make sense really to me. So personally, I don't see a difference with it. If you're trying to say that this dude can't be on a yard because he runs with another race. Well, that should be true to all whites running on these other yards with other races. Don't just pick out that one because he's running with a black gang. Because if you think about it, there's no difference from one running with another gang either. When you're holding them accountable for, oh, he's not running white. Okay, well, these other ones aren't either. So that's something I've never agreed on. I've never agreed that you then pick out ones because they're running with a black gang, but you're allowing ones with a Mexican gang. I've always thought, okay, if that's gonna be the case, keep it fair. It's not that person's bad because they grew up in that type of neighborhood. A lot of people go to prison and you run with who you're comfortable with or who you grew up around. And not everybody grew up around the same environment that the next man wishes that they did. And that's not something they should be held liable for, when it was a lot of the time it was the parents that had them in that environment in the first place. So now these kids come in and they're thinking that what they're doing is right, which to them in their eyes is right. But people that don't agree with it are saying, no, he's got to go because he's running opposite than what we believe. Well, if that's the case, do that to all these other groups. But people don't do it because a lot of people know which groups they can target more and which ones does they have the least amount of backlash on them. So in prisons, a lot of people know that the skinheads, the northerners, and the Serranos carry weapons. And if you then go up against somebody carrying a weapon, you know that you're going to be carrying one too. Otherwise, you're just a complete idiot and going in to get butchered. So a lot of the times, you don't see the incidents occurring where blacks are using a lot of weapons on the yard. And that's because a lot of them are going home, or for whatever personal reasons, they don't believe in it. And I think that other groups try to take advantage of that. And that's why they target the white bloods and the white Crips on these yards. And they'll try to push up on them, and they'll try to make them get rid of the people to avoid conflict. Tony James, are there a good amount of skinheads, or are they mostly woods? Yards are mostly woods. You'll get lucky to have on a good yard between 9 and 13 skinheads. And that's because they keep them spread out between these other prisons, because they know if you get too many on one yard, there's going to be politics that start getting pushed, and administration tries to avoid the conflicts. Last thing they want to do is put 50 on one yard and have a whole bunch of people causing drama on that yard. I don't know what's up with my comments. They're coming in kind of slow. I don't know if they're if it's freezing up again. I went on the laptop this time to do live because my phone, they froze up. Oh, here's one from Tony James. And all skinheads are with the business. From what I've seen, yeah, majority of them are all with the business, because you got to think of it this way. They're the ones that are pushing the hard politics for the whites. They're the ones that are majority of the time putting in work, and they know they're the frontline soldiers for that race. I understand there's different types of skinheads. Yeah, there is, Junior. There's all sorts of different groups and organizations with different beliefs. Um, I met dudes from Bash Bay Area skinheads, and they was cool. I met ones from all over the state. I met ones from hardcore, which originally started out in Huntington Beach, hardcore, and then it slowly moved up north. And they're different than P9 skinheads, who it just depends on the area you're at and what type of influence you have and stuff like that. Depends on what type of politics you then push when you're in there. Puppies are in there barking and whining, wanting to come outside. Aquatic Amigo, did you know any? You know, Death Squad. Are you referring to P9? I met. I've only really ran across one that was P9. That was my first term at New Corcoran, and I ran into him on the yard when he showed up, and he was cool. From my understandings, was P9 was originally started. Okay, yeah, we're talking about the same thing then. From my understandings, was they were more or less started or was pushing to keep brand politics on the yards. And the one I met, he was from down south. I don't remember if he was from IE or Riverside or Orange County. I'm not sure. It might have been just LA County that he claimed. But dude was cool. He was the only one that was on the yard. And there was a lot of people from different groups. They had Orange County OCS skins that was there. There was only two of us from hardcore there. They had one dude that wasn't a skin, but he would come and run with the skins. And I met this dude. I'm talking to him, and starting to learn a little bit about him. And he starts telling me, he's like, "Yeah, man, I usually always have my head shaved." And I'm like, "Well, shit, shave your head then. What's the problem?" And he's like, "Well, I got a tattoo on my head that can't be really seen." I'm like, "Can't be seen? What do you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a Nazi lowrider." I said, "Okay." And at the time, it was my first prison term. I didn't really know too much about it, about that shit. And he's like, "If they see me, they'll snatch me off the yard." So I'm like, "Okay." So he ends up shaving his head short, not completely bald like he normally would do, and he just shaved it short. And I seen the tattoos and stuff. I ended up becoming really cool with him. Um, we stayed in contact throughout prison. I did most of my prison term that time with them, and then when I got out, I stayed in contact with him a little bit. He's out there in last I heard he was out there in Modesto still. Dude did good. He drove a Dodge Viper. He was connected. Um, there was a bail bonds company out in Modesto that shut down now, and he would do like bail enforcement, which was crazy because I'm like, you're fresh out of prison and you're going and you're snatching up dudes off the street who are jumping bail, and they're allowing it. And he said, "No, they don't really allow it, but the company that I work for, they can use more people. If you want to do it, I'll get you hired on. They pay great." I never did it. I ended up meeting the owner of it, on another prison term going through through Tracy. I ended up meeting the dude who owned it, and the dude that owned it, he ran with one of the biker groups and stuff, and he ended up with the yard. There was a dude that had showed up that was no good, had to go, and we were in reception. Dude showed up, had to go. This dude tries to make the call on it, and me and another dude, we say, all right, we got this, we'll take care of it. So we end up catching the dude slipping underneath one of the prison towers. And at Tracy, they got a gunner that's in a tower on the middle of the yard. So we ended up sleeping this dude right underneath the tower right there. And dude was laid out for a good 10, 15 minutes. And tower never seen him because he was laid out underneath the tower. And we ended up walking off. Finally, at yard recall, they end up finding him still laying out. But yeah, we need some more Scott Peterson stories. That part of your video was crazy. Oh yeah, that dude, and there's a lot about him that, because I watch the videos and stuff, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot that they don't tell in those videos. Like, I don't know if it's because they didn't want the truth out there, or if they just thought that it would hurt him in some way. But yeah, when I was in there, when I got ready to leave, he had autographed a book and shit. It was some John Grisham book, like one of the John Grisham lawyer books or some shit. And I got out and I gave it to my mom and shit for her to have. But in jail, it was weird because the first floor trustee would go onto their tier, and you'd go on with when the cop would open up the little side gate to go back there. And I don't know, I didn't really know what to think because he had pictures, like evidence pictures of his baby mom that was dead, or wife, however you want to put it, and he had them taped all over the walls. And there was a picture of the dead baby taped right there and stuff too. So I was like, okay, either this dude is putting on one hell of a front, or this dude, the drugs have got to him and he doesn't know what the fuck's going on anymore. But I don't know. People, when they're on drugs, it makes them do shit they wouldn't normally do. And I think that if you got a drug problem and it's making you do this shit, when you're finally busted and stuff, leave the drugs alone. Because obviously the drugs got you there in the first place, and you continue to want to buy it from whoever's trustee and stuff like that. You're not making it any better for yourself. Are woods and skinheads on the same yards? Yeah, woods and skinheads are on the same yards. They don't separate them. And now with all this new shit that's going on where they're integrating the yards and shit like that, everybody's going back to the same yards. Because what happened was they made the S and Y yards to where the people that really needed protection no longer have protection. So now they're reintegrating these yards back together and trying to start all over. But with the integration, what do they then do with all these dudes that are hitting these yards and they're programming together? Now, everybody on those yards is going to be deemed no good. But a lot of people are just trying to do their time instead of putting in work for somebody or for a cause that they see doesn't have nothing to do with them. Tell us more about Scott Peterson getting hit. Okay, so when he went to San Quentin to death row, he's off death row now. I don't remember exactly which prison it is they said that he went to. I haven't really checked. I wasn't shoot him a little letter or something and see if he wants to do a little quick interview or something over the phone or something like that. Because a lot of the prisons now, they got tablets where they could do like a little live stream with you. So I was saying shoot him a little letter because I met him on the streets, and then I met him, like, talked to him in prison and in county and stuff. And I was saying, see if I can get him on here just to see what he wants to say. See if there's anything that he thinks is going to help him or not help him, stuff like that. Just because I know he's another one of those people like trying to protect his ego and his image, and a lot of people like that constantly want to get their word out. So I might do that. Tony Yayo, I don't think that part about him doing dope ever came out publicly, so that's new info. Yeah, no, it didn't come out publicly. And me and my lady, we were watching videos on him, and I started laughing and telling her about that stuff. And I was actually then write like a little story thing about it. But I decided that I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I can get him on with me, or at least a little over the phone interview or over the tablet interview, and see how it turns out. I'll write him maybe today or tomorrow, or check and see if he's got a tablet, and if so, message on the tablet and see what we can get going. That way people can see that little interview too. Tony James, are more skinheads racist than Woods? Yeah, I would say they are. But in prison, see, people think of racist as being, or racism being, as whites being racist towards Mexicans or blacks. And to me, racism is no matter what skin color you are, if you dislike or you hate somebody for the color skin they have, then you're racist. So if you're black and you hate whites because they're white, are you racist? Because in the definition of racism, that would put you as racist too. But people don't put it out there, and media doesn't put it out there like that. The people in the media only put it out there if you're, a lot of the time, if you're white and you're doing this, putting out your beliefs or your hate towards other groups or other people, but they're not looking at it from both ways. Let me see what else is in here. Yeah, my comments suck. Even on the laptop, they'd be freezing up a lot. Yeah, I know. Daniel says he was saying that he was in hit me up and we'll do something live together, and I will whenever he's got time, or we both got time. One thing I wanted to put out was me and my lady both are signed in on this same account on YouTube. So if you comment and you get a comment back and it's her commenting, I think now she's putting in like, hey, this is Juanita. That way people understand that it's her commenting and not me. But it's not always me commenting. So if you're referring a comment to her and you get one back, it's usually her that's commenting back to you, not me. So I just wanted to put that out there because some people weren't able to catch on. But anyways, I just want to jump on live for a little while, see how everybody's doing. I'm gonna get these dogs situated. See what she needs help with around the house, and then I'll come back on later on. Anyways, you guys all have a good day, and if there's anything you want addressed or leave it in a comment. If I know personally or seen it personally firsthand, I'll speak on it. All right, hold on. Let me see. There's one last question I want to answer real quick. It's from Tony James. Would you program with them or do your own thing if you got locked up in a different state? That's a hard one because I've always programmed. So to do my own thing, you got to think about what type of repercussions does that thing bring to you by wanting to do your own thing. Like if the whites were all acting black. Well, shit, if the whites were all acting black, then I don't know. That's a hard one to say. Now, I know whites that run with the non-white card, and I know the problems that they would have going into California prisons by running with those cards and not running white. But if that's the beliefs they believe upon and where their heart truly is, then I think regardless of what the consequences may be, they should go with what they feel is right, not go with what people are telling them. So yeah, it could be weird that because they're white. Man, I wasn't gonna jump off, but now I'm gonna stay on for a minute. So, what's the difference between a white that acts black or a white that acts Hispanic? Because there's really no difference in it, right? Now, I think the whites look at it more strongly when they act black because the whites don't feel like the blacks are a threat to them. And they think that they can bully the blacks into removing one of their own. Whereas if you push up on one of the Hispanic gangs and you tell them like, hey, look, that dude's white, he's got to go. They're not saying do it. They're saying it's going to end up being a riot. It's going to end up being an issue. And is not like that when a white blood or a white Crip shows up on the yard. A lot of times to avoid conflicts, they'll get rid of that individual. Have you ever seen a skinhead not participate in a riot? No, I have not. Because if a riot kicks off and you don't join in, you're leaving first thing smoking. But Yeah, I don't know. My opinion, if that's where your heart is and that's what you believe, go with your beliefs. Don't let people influence your beliefs. If you feel like you then go onto a yard or a prison and you don't believe with the same beliefs as them and you then go solo, try it. What's the worst that can happen? Bro, I've met real skins that won't even listen to rap nor date out of their race. Yeah, there's a lot like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If if that's what they're doing, more power to them. I respect that. Um, you can run solo in other states. Everyone does. Yeah, I'm just speaking on what I know from California. And in California, you're not then go onto a yard and tell them that you're not then go with their program and you're not then rock with them because you're basically telling them fuck you. I'm not then do what you're saying. And California is not the inmates aren't then go with that. This one says, "What up, bro? I heard stories of hardcore skins, and then they go to visiting, got Mexican wife, half Mexican kids." Yeah, that's true. I can't deny that at all. I've heard of stories of other skins going out and having a black old lady out there, but I didn't see it myself. Now, if you're referring that because my lady's Mexican, people's beliefs change over years. People grow up, and what you believed in your 20s might not be the same thing you believe in your 40s. And for somebody to be stuck in those same beliefs, either you are trying to hold on and grasp for anything in your life or you just don't grow up. A lot of people grow up out of stuff like that. DNA, I've done time in Nevada and they're way different. Yeah, I've heard a lot of states are different, and I've heard that a lot of people in these other states say that they're glad they don't go to Cali prison. No, not at all, bro. New here, didn't even know. No, not at all. What? Yeah, people do grow, and that's part of growing up. Is a lot of people join stuff when they're younger and don't know any better or just don't care, and as you grow and you see stuff and you've been part of stuff and you realize, okay, this isn't exactly what I grew up or what I was signing up for, people grow. Like burglary charges, you go where people we have those charges. Um, unless you got some foul, fucked up shit on your jacket, you'll go to a GP yard. Now those GP yards, a lot of the time, aren't even GP yards no more. They've been integrated yards. So you gotta know where you're going to before you get off that bus, because you could be being put in danger without even knowing it. And if you're young and you've never been to prison before, the administration's name try to play you. They then try to place you on wherever they can that they think that they can house you without your life being in danger or putting somebody else's life in danger. And by doing that, if you don't know better, you were just another pawn in their integration process. But yeah, you got to be on your toes, not just with the other inmates, but with administration too. Other than figuring out through word of mouth, how can someone figure out what yard is good or bad? Um, you pretty much got to look and see what yards have been integrated, because word of mouth, it might be that it could be a yard that's no good for a northerner, but it's a good yard for southerners. Or it could be a yard that's good for southerners and it's no good for the northerners. And it depends, because each group has their own set of yards, which is good or bad. What if you're just a non-gang banging wood? Can you go anywhere? Yeah, Tony, you can go anywhere. You can't go out there and say that you're not saying follow policy and stuff like that. But what you got to think about is there's so many woods on those yards that, and the woods cars split up between counties. So each county is their own set of woods. And it just comes together as if something is about to crack on the yard. So say you're wood from Orange County, unless there's something going on in Orange County car, you could be on that yard 4, 5, 6 years without having to do anything. And there's a lot of people on there that don't end up doing their prison term without having to do anything. U200B, have you ever seen a black wood? LOL, like half black. That's a funny question. So in Stanislaus County Jail, I went into that jail. The pod I went into, they brought me over to the new jail thing. And I get there and there was a black dude there. And when I first got there, the whites were like, "Oh, all right, this is our TV, this is our chairs, shit like that." And this black dude was there. He had a lightning bolt and swastikas tatted on the back of his head, and I didn't see the tattoo at first. So, being the only skin going into there, I started to push the politics that were supposed to be pushed in there. And this dude comes and he goes to sit down next to me, and I push the issue on it, like, "Hey, what the fuck? Like, nah, your guys' TV's over there. It's not right here." And he said, "Well, hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" I'm like, "Sure." So me and him go off to the side. I didn't know if it was going to be a talk or if we were about to get down. And he said, "Hey, look, bro, I run white. I was adopted by a white family. I grew up my whole childhood believing I was white." And he told me about which neighborhood he grew up in out in Keys, and Keys, pretty much a white area. There's a lot of racism there. And this dude grew up believing he was white. He showed me the tattoo on the back of his head, and at first I thought, okay, well, maybe some people did it as like a bad joke, like a cruel joke, putting this tattoo in these tattoos on the back of his head. But no, that's what his beliefs were. And I couldn't hold it against him for what his beliefs were. And the blacks there hated him. They didn't want nothing to do with him. But they knew that they weren't going to be able to get rid of him, because the dude wasn't a punk. He was ready to fight for what he believed. He had so much love and respect for the parents that had adopted him as a child that he pushed their beliefs for him. Now, was it right for the adopted parents to do that to him? I don't know if that's what bettered his life, or maybe it's not what bettered his life. Maybe that's what caused him to end up in jails and stuff like that. But it goes both ways. There's people that fight for beliefs of other gangs, and then there's people like him that fought for what he believed was right. It didn't change the fact that he was black, and that was something that we ended up pushing was, okay, you can't sit at the chairs because those chairs are for white. Whether or not you're running white, you could post up in the area, but you weren't allowed. He wasn't allowed to sit in the chairs. He had to stand behind us, which later on I've seen was kind of fucked up on our part, making him do that when he was willing to fight, and who knows, it could have ended up in turning into a death if something happened. But he was willing to put his all into it with us. So yeah, I've seen black that ran as a wood, and it all comes down to what environment you were raised in, where you grew up. What's up, crazy? Salute to you, brother. How you doing today? Oh man. Yeah, so I planned on being on here the other day. I wasn't really feeling that great. But I didn't know if it was from, because they say to take the treatment with food. Today I took it without food, just a cup of coffee to see if maybe that make me feel a little bit better, and so far it's working. U200B personally had a family member tell me a similar story. LA County Jail, there was a half black wood, ex-Marine, looked light skin, ran wood. Yeah, it, like I said, it all comes down to the environment you grew up in. The dude I met, he wasn't light skinned, he was dark. You could tell he was black. But it came down to that was the type of environment he grew up in. He grew up in a white environment. His adopted parents were white. They were racist. He was actually racist himself, and would throw comments out there, and he'd be like, "Wow, I never heard a black talk like that towards another black." Our Tony James, our skinhead's more strict than black, or more strict than Woods. My bad. Yeah, definitely more strict. You got to think of it this way: the Woods run basically the wood car. Skinheads are the the militant of the white. So they're the ones pushing the hard line, the politics on in the prison system. And the skinheads are the first line soldiers for that race when something cracks down. They're not asking the other the other white cars to back them. They feel something's ain't crack, there they move on you, and then they move on you all as in a whole. They're not. They got their own car within the white movement, and they take orders from nobody except for themselves. What treatment did you get, bro? Um, so when I went to the doctor, they offered me a 12-week treatment, which was one pill a day, and then they had an 8-week treatment that was 3 pills a day. So I thought, okay, well, let's see if I can knock the treatment out in 4 weeks less and do it, then I'll try it. So I went with the 8-week. It's 3 pills. You take them all 3 at the same time. It's kind of like a chemo pill. It they're big pill, and what I didn't realize when I said I'll do the 8-week was there's a reason why it's 3 pills and not one. It's stronger, and they're knocking 4 weeks off the total treatment. So in that time, it's going to affect you a little more. But I just wanted to get it over with and done. you know Skins from SDSH? I'm not sure if I do. I've been out 5 years, so like a lot of that I've pushed towards like the back of my head, and I start forgetting like certain guys' names until I think about it for a while, and then I'll remember who they are and stuff like that. Um, I'm sure I might have. I met I met dudes from all sorts of groups up from up north, Humboldt, Ukiah, down through Bay Area, Skins, out to San Diego. I met Skins. Orange County, I've met Skins. I've even met some from Bakersfield. So, all right. So this live went a little longer than I thought, hour and 6 minutes. I've been meaning to get back in and see if my lady needs help with anything inside. So, I'm gonna see how she's doing. Maybe see if she can get on here later on a live, and tap back in with you guys. You guys all have a good day, and just thank you for coming to the channel. Remember, if there's anything you want to talk about or discuss or whatever, drop a comment. As long as my comment's not locked up, I'll try to answer as much as I can. That said, you guys all have a good day.